Yes, people, welcome back to another stream. Hopefully you guys are all well. Lots and lots to discuss. Manchester City get a 3-3 draw in Madrid. I think it's a great result, personally. We'll speak about that, get some people's takes, get Nobbins' take, get your takes in the chat. So make sure you were giving us your thoughts as we're going through. We'll get some shout-outs done in a second. Apologies for the delay. I went on the treadmill at the gym, I scheduled the timer to be perfectly in sync with this stream. And then just as I finished, someone walked in right next to me who had not seen in like a year. So I kind of had to speak to them. I couldn't just be like, oh, sorry, I've not seen you in a year. But I gotta go. So I had to speak to them for a couple of minutes, hence the lateness. I apologize. Please make sure you drop a like on the stream. Please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Let's have a look who we've got in the building. We've got Nadir, Suvik, Mad Dog AC, Matthew, Rodri, City 9320, Mank Ninja, Twismore, Briggs is in the building, Dash, Subhoti, Karl, Jen, Jose, Isak's here, Horton, Puneet, Ghost. Anyone else? Eric's here, Itch is here, Off Meta's here, Matthew, DGN1, John's in the building. Big up to Chris, Karl, Jared, Justin 444. Hopefully, you guys are all doing well. Please make sure you drop a like. Really helps support the channel. Obviously, you can see Nobbins' channel in the title as well. Nobbins 3-3. Is that a great result?
Brilliant result. Fantastic. Brilliant. We've got a draw at the Bernabeu in the context of it's the most attended game at the Bernabeu ever. They were popping off in the days leading up to it, getting everyone to wear all whites to try to create a hostile environment. They asked for a special dispensation to close the roof, apparently, to create a cauldron because they were that terrified of us. We had probably our most valuable defender for this particular fixture out in Kyle Walker. And
very true.
We had no Kevin De Bruyne starting.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a brilliant result, quite frankly. We now are in a situation where if we win at home, which most people would expect us to do, then we're through to the semi-finals. If you told me before the game, a draw, bite your hand off of that, 100%. And we got Tchouaméni suspended for the second leg, which could be big because he's a very good player. We should have got more suspended. Bellingham should have been booked. Camavinga should have been booked. I'd say Vinicius should have been booked, but I will take at least one. Yeah, 100% is a good result. If anyone's saying it isn't, I think people can maybe be disappointed that we took the lead and then didn't win. But you've got to look at the context, guys. It's Real Madrid. We didn't play particularly well. We're missing some key players. I'm more than happy with the result. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And you got to look at it in the context of everything that you've just said. You know what I mean? It's a hostile place to play football at the best of times. You know, they turned it up a notch with the closed roof, you know, the fans, the tifo before they get everything. You know what I mean? They done everything possible yesterday, Real Madrid, to win that game. They knew that they really needed to win that game. And to get a draw, and especially how we played in the first half, because we were really poor in that first half. And really, you know, I thought we were pretty lucky not to be like 3-1, 4-1 down, the amount of chances that they had. So to come back and get a draw, and people can say, and they are right, I'll say it as well, it is disappointing to not have won the game when you're 3-2 up with, 12, 13 minutes to go, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, you know what I mean? We take this back now to the Etihad. And I think if you ask City fans before the game last night, you know, it all comes down to effectively a one-off game at the Etihad between you and Real Madrid. I think most fans probably take that. I mean, you do not go to the Bernabeu and try and win the tie in the first leg at the Bernabeu. That is just ridiculous. So I think personally, it's a great result. I think it's a fantastic result. You're also right. You know, people can speak about the defending, and we'll speak about the defending as we get into the show. But our best tool to combat that is Kyle Walker, and he wasn't even fit. So, you know, you're playing John Stones. Looks like he was playing the last 10 minutes with a bit of a tightness in his hamstring, according to Rodri. So he was a bit injured. Gvardiol, was he fully fit? Possibly, because he was man of the match for me. But you know, he was fantastic, but apparently wasn't fully fit. As you say, Kevin De Bruyne wasn't there. Jack Grealish has only played 2 games since he come back from injury. You know, we went there. Rodri wasn't great. Bernardo wasn't great. Yet we still go away from the Bernabeu with a 3-3 draw. Honestly, man, it's a great result. And I think people need to, yes, of course, like I say, it wasn't a great performance, and I do think we got lucky at times in that game yesterday, but it is what it is. A fantastic
Yeah.
result. We got them
Oh,
again this week, and I'm backing us to go through.
yeah, I was just gonna say also like look at the reaction of like the Real Madrid fans and the Real Madrid players. Like I think it was Rodrigo who came out in an interview after saying this feels like a loss to us because
Yeah,
they know that
they know.
it's incredibly difficult to win at the Etihad. Generally, it's incredibly difficult to win in Europe as well. The last time we lost in a knockout game in Europe was against Liverpool in 2018. I'm pretty sure at home. So it's not an easy place to come to, obviously. And they will know that they probably needed a win and then maybe a draw at the Etihad. So the fact that they weren't able to get that win, that in my opinion, bar some sort of weird capitulation, they're now going to have to rely on getting like a draw and penalties. I can't see us losing at the Etihad, to be honest. Anything can happen, but it's incredibly unlikely.
Yeah, no, I mean, that second leg now is going to be a very interesting game. I mean, the thing that I would probably say about it is like, and I don't want to like slag them off or anything, but it seemed to me, and I'm interested to hear your take and the chat. If you disagree with me, fair dues, but put it in a chat, yeah. It seemed to me that Real Madrid's only weapon really was quick transitional play. They
Hmm.
didn't. Yeah, us, we can break teams down. It didn't seem like when Real Madrid had the ball in our own half that they broke us down. And even the third goal, that wasn't breaking down. We was knackered. I mean, Modric just ran through our midfield. It wasn't like they broke us down. Rodri was tired, Bernardo was tired, and at the end of the day, it's still a mad finish from Valverde. So
Hmm.
looking at it, I'm thinking to myself, okay, there are issues that we've got to deal with in terms of that defense. Hopefully, Kyle Walker will be back for the game next week. I mean, apparently, he had a solo training session on it would have been Monday, I assume, but clearly it wasn't good enough. So hopefully he'll be back for the game next Wednesday. But if we can just try and fix up a little bit better on the counter attacks, and listen, just a quick one on that. Yeah, you're never gonna get 100% elimination against them. You're always gonna have issues with Real Madrid on the counter attack. They got Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo, yeah, and Jude Bellingham. You're never going to be able to eliminate it 100%. But what
Hmm.
you're trying to do is you're trying to just maybe stop 20%, 30% of those being 100% chances for Real Madrid and just lowering the chance of them scoring. And you can do that with Kyle Walker. If we can do that and improve at home, which I'm assuming that we will, because we weren't great yesterday. So I'm assuming that next week we're going to be better than we were yesterday. So if all those things happen, I'm sitting here going, you know what? We should be winning that game, and we should be going through to the semi-finals, bro.
Yeah, 100%. I like you mentioned like the weapon that Real Madrid had. And to be fair to them, if the weapon's working, then you will keep using it over and over again. I don't have an issue with that. However, if Walker's available, then that weapon is basically blunted and doesn't exist anymore. If you go have a look at the average like positioning of Real Madrid in that game, look like pay attention in particular to the positions of Vinicius and Rodrigo. They're both just like camped on our right, their left, because they identified very early on that Kyle Walker was the main issue for us last season from a defensive standpoint. He's not going to be there this time. They don't have any like quick, pacey defenders like. I mean, Kanji's not slow, but he's not Vinicius Junior pacey or Walker pacey. So just camp on that side and just always try to counterattack down that side. It obviously worked, but that plan goes out of the window if Walker's available for the second leg. In which case, if we're to assume that attack is blunted, then they're going to have to create chances by other measures. And as you've said, it seemed to me that they didn't really have any other solutions. Now, maybe they'll make some changes. Maybe they will find another way to play against us at the Etihad. But that did seem to be their primary and sole weapon, those long balls in behind and those counterattacks. If we have our best counterattack defender in the team in Walker, then that massively destroys that offensive weapon from Real Madrid. So it is huge that Walker plays. If he does, it might come to bite me. It might sound arrogant, but I don't fear Real Madrid, or we shouldn't fear Real Madrid anyway. But for some sort of different tactical tweak by Real Madrid. The only thing I'd then be concerned about is the physicality that they have, particularly in the midfield. They athletically and physically, they did dominate us. I think it's fair to say.
They were much better yesterday than they were last year, but that's because they played Camavinga in the middle and not Luka Modric.
Yeah, a very good point. Yeah, and I thought Camavinga was fantastic, by the way. That's why I'm a bit disappointed.
He's an unbelievable player.
Yeah, that's why I'm annoyed he didn't get booked when he should have been booked a number of times. So that becomes the only weapon that they'll really have. I think having De Bruyne on the pitch probably does help with that. Like, his physicality is underrated, especially his transition attacking. There were a couple of times yesterday I felt like where it was either Bernardo, Kovacic, Foden. We got into a good position on the counter-attack. Our players drove forwards, but Camavinga, Bellingham, too physical, long legs, won the ball back, snuffed out the counter-attack. De Bruyne in those positions, you are not taking the ball off him when he gets into his full stride. So I think that having him back on the pitch that also maybe takes out one of their weapons as well. Having De Bruyne on the pitch definitely makes us a better physical team. Let's say if we're doing like a straight swap, De Bruyne or Kovacic, for example.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. Let's have a look at some of these super chats that have come in. By the way, guys, make sure you drop a like on the stream if you've not done so already. Nearly 400 people tuned in. Let's get those likes to at least 150, 25 people needed for that. Big up to Mank Ninja says, didn't Bellingham come across as a big crybaby? I thought Bellingham yesterday was really disappointing. Before, obviously, when the team lineups come out, it was very much Jude v Phil. And I think Phil won that quite clearly. Especially with the goal. I thought Bellingham kind of ghosted, to be honest with you, the whole game. All he did was moan. He couldn't get the rub of the green. And even despite Rodri not even playing particularly well, he still couldn't look good. You'd think if a player's being hyped up as much as Bellingham was last night, and Rodri plays poorly, you're kind of looking at Bellingham to say, well, go on then. Rodri's having an off game. You go and exploit that. He didn't.
Yeah,
LB says we need to rest Rodri for Luton 100%. We'll speak about the Luton game towards the end of the stream, bro, because obviously Rodri's been speaking about that as well, actually. Off Meta says, I think Madrid planned to hard press mistakes out of us in the first 35 minutes because in the second half, Vinny, Rodrigo and Bellingham were absolutely gassed, says Off Meta. You could definitely see they were tiring. But you know what? I didn't even feel that like their press really forced us into mistakes. I felt a lot of our mistakes was just like sloppy play. Like I don't think it was because they was doing like a mad press or anything. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure that was the correct strategy for Real Madrid yesterday, and I don't think it worked. I'm annoyed by the match. I struggle to even sleep after I don't have faith now. City haven't beaten a top side. I can't do that to myself next week. I think this is different though, Kula. I honestly think this is different. This isn't the Premier League. And, I feel that personally we're clicking into gear now. I really, really do. He also says Walker won't matter. Pep will play him as a winger anyway. No, that definitely won't happen. That definitely will not happen. Let's touch on the defense a little bit more. We spoke about it a little bit there, but I want to sort of explore how we could potentially set up in the next game. Let's assume that in the next game, Kyle Walker is going to be back. Let's assume that Nathan Ake is not going to be back because we're not heard any news on him. Is it obviously Walker has to play right back? So you've got three players at the centre half position in Diaz, Akanji, and John Stones. Because obviously Gvardiol has to play left back because he was phenomenal. How would you set up, and how do you think Pep Guardiola is going to set up that defense? Because for me, bro, I'm looking at it thinking John Stones is a must, providing he's fit, because apparently he did feel some tightness in his yesterday. So I don't know if he's going to be fit, but let's just assume for the sake of the conversation he is fit. I think John Stones has to play. I don't. Is it ridiculous to say drop Diaz? I mean, Diaz is the slowest defender in our team, and I'm looking at this thinking, he'd done it against, who did he drop him? Who did he drop Diaz against? Was it
Liverpool at Anfield? Yeah.
He dropped him against Liverpool and said Diaz is slow, hence he got dropped. He dropped him against United last year in the 6-3, again because of the pace that United have behind us. I'm honestly sitting here thinking, I potentially would drop Diaz, not because of form, not because of how he's played, purely on the fact that he's slower than Akanji, and I play Akanji in the middle. I really would.
Yeah, there's definitely something in that. As you say, Walker must play. In the absence of Ake, you'd think it would be Gvardiol rather than like Akanji on that left side. Is that so it doesn't reset? Is that true as well? So if he gets a yellow, right? Okay,
I think it resets after the next leg.
understood. Right.
So it's
Yeah.
actually a further benefit of maybe resting Diaz, but he is the leader at the back.
Yes. I think so. Definitely start Stones if we can, because we need him to go into pop into midfield. I think I agree. I think Akanji probably should start. I'm just thinking it's obviously a shame because I think Ruben Diaz is probably our best like box defender. But the reality is that we need to obviously win the game, and we therefore need to go for it a little bit. Therefore, there is always the risk of counterattacks. And as we know, we're not very good from defending those, and Diaz isn't very good in the transition really. I can see, and I probably would want that backline. So no Diaz to start, but maybe let's say we're like 1-0 up after like 70 minutes, let's say. I can see I'd want Diaz to come on and we sort of have the mentality of, defend our box sort of vibe. Because
like we did it at the Bernabeu 2 years ago.
Yeah. If we need to defend our box, that's what we need to do, I reckon. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that.
Sorry, it was just too easy. No, I agree. I play Akanji at the back. I think it'll help us in the build-up play. He's faster than Diaz. Diaz is also a book, so it's that's a pro. And you're right. If we get ourselves leading with 30 minutes, 20 minutes to go, whatever, throw Diaz on. You know what I mean, and just say right, drop. Because you put Diaz on, you're going to drop anyway. So then the pace thing doesn't really become as big of an issue if you drop in your team a little bit further back. So I seriously would consider it. Obviously, we don't fully know if Walker's going to be back fit. Now, apparently, like I say, just to repeat, apparently on Monday, or I think it was Monday morning, or it might be Sunday or Monday, he had a solo training session. Now, clearly, that didn't go too well because he didn't even travel. So, but the fact that he went out on the pitch and tried to do a solo training session tells you that like he's nearly coming back. And for me, I'd risk him. Obviously, providing that it's not like, I'm still fucked. You know what I mean? Providing that he's still okay. Like, he feels okay, but he's like, it's a bit of a risk. I'd risk him against Real Madrid because, in the Premier League, genuinely, I don't really think you need Karl Walker now for the rest of the season in the Premier League. Personally, I just don't think you need him.
I totally agree. Yeah, totally agree.
Not because I don't rate him, just because like I don't think like what do we want Walker for? What we are screaming for Walker? It's because we want his pace. Yeah,
it's a very specific weapon.
It's a very specific weapon. You know what I mean? When you're looking at the Premier League fixtures coming up, you got Chelsea. I don't really think that pace is really going to be an issue there. Brighton away, Forest, Wolves, Fulham, West Ham. I'm not looking at these games personally going, like we need Walker for the pace. Like, so for me, I'd risk him. I'd fully send it. I'd risk him. And I think that's something that you're going to do. I'd play Akanji, I'd drop Diaz, and I'd have that as my back four and go again. Midfield wise, I'm interested to hear your take on this. Was you a little bit confused about what Kovacic's role was meant to be yesterday, or could you see what his role was meant to be? Because I thought that like he kept the ball relatively well, didn't really lose it that much, but I didn't really understand what he was supposed to be doing. Did you understand what his role was meant to be yesterday?
I was disappointed with Kova, to be honest. I was quite happy for him to start. I remember like coming on your show and actually said that maybe we should start him instead of Bernardo because maybe we should start with like total control. But I couldn't really figure out what it was he was offering, to be fair. Certainly up until like the 70th-ish minute, I don't really know what he was doing because he didn't seem to be wanting to get on the ball that much. When he did get on the ball, he wasn't trying to be penetrative with his passing. He wasn't trying to play little clipped balls over the top like he has done this season.
Well, that's not really his game either, is it? So you wouldn't really.
It's not, but he has shown he can do that. Certainly when he's linked up with Haaland. I don't actually know. It seems like I can't even really remember him playing that, which is a massive insult, I guess. But I remember like Rodri being on the ball, Bernardo, John Stones. Kovacic. I can't really pinpoint what it was that he did throughout the game, and that's disappointing. You could say, well, by his presence there meant that we were technically a little bit stronger in transitions, but I don't even know if I would agree with that. Like, I can't really remember him being that much of a defensive force or presence.
No,
I was disappointed.
yeah, if you actually look at the stats and that of his game, he didn't really lose the ball that much. Like he
Oh
was
yeah,
good when
yeah.
he was good when he was on the ball. You kind of expect that from Kovacic anyway. I mean, if you look at this, he only lost the ball 8 times.
Mm,
Yeah, I mean that includes misplaced passes and dribbling
yeah.
into other players. But like maybe Pardo's on something here. Says Kovacic wasn't supposed to be playing yesterday, obviously because KDB maybe
I
was.
think that's correct. Yeah, and
Um,
yes, so maybe it's not his fault, but yeah, it was a. It sounds
mm,
very harsh. It was a very nothing performance from Kovacic. I personally felt like, as you've said, I couldn't quite figure out what was going on, which makes sense because if you set up how to play for like a whole week or whatever, or days going into the match with De Bruyne starting and Foden out wide or whatever, and then at the 11th hour, suddenly coach is like, right, you're playing. He's like, oh gosh, oh okay. So maybe it is fair enough that he didn't. It wasn't quite
mm.
sure. We weren't quite sure what
That's
was
a
going
very
on
good
there.
point, actually. That's the first time anyone's actually put that in the chat, so I've not even thought of that as a potential reason, but that's a very, very good point. Off Meta says Kovacic was meant to be helping with controlling possession, but we ended up just giving the possession away so much in the first half, it just caused him to be all over the place in transitions. That's also a fair comment. That's probably
Mm,
he probably didn't know where to be because like he's probably thinking, right, I'm going to go forward now,
yeah.
but then probably thought to himself, hang on a minute, these fucking guys keep on losing the ball, Rodri and Bernardo, so I'll probably best not go forward. And then, yeah. To be fair, I ain't gonna think about it too much. To be honest with you, that comment actually about the fact that he wasn't even meant to be playing has kind of changed my mind
Yeah.
on the situation. Big up 12B for the super chat says Nobbins, how can we utilize Haaland in games like this? Because it felt yesterday we was playing with 10 men. Do you think Alvarez would be more effective? Let's actually speak about Erling Haaland, man, because there's a lot of comments coming in from City fans, from non-City fans about Erling Haaland. He does nothing. Does he do nothing? Does he offer us something? I would first of all just say that some of these Real Madrid fans on Twitter who were gassing up Rudiger to say he pocketed Haaland when your team conceded 3 goals is to me slightly
Mm,
strange, but that might
yes.
just be me. I personally think that in these big games, I think that he does allow space for players like Foden and Kevin De Bruyne a
Mm,
little bit more. You know what I mean? Because, like, for example, the Foden goal, like he has that space on the edge of the box. Does he get that if Haaland's not there? I don't know. Does he need to do more? Yes. Everest is right. He does need to work on his winning some of these duels against Rudiger. He won a foul or two, but Rudiger kind of won more than Haaland. But to be honest with you, I don't look at yesterday from Haaland and say he was a stinky performance. Personally, I don't. I just think that, like, did he get involved as much as he like? No, but I don't know. What's your take?
Yeah. I agree with basically all of that. First things first. I expect more from Haaland. He should have done better yesterday. Let's address that.
What specifically should he done better in?
He should have done better in terms of his hold-up play, specifically
Okay,
against Rudiger, I feel like.
I accept
Um,
that.
yeah. So I do want to address that because I'm a massive defender of Haaland. I feel like I defend him every single week, and like I don't want people to think that I'm only going to defend him and never criticize him. Look, he does need to be offering more in that respect. However, that being said, he did win some fouls from Rudiger. First of all, thought Rudiger generally played well in that 1v1.
Mhm.
But you alluded to it then, and I mentioned it on my show before this as well. Go and watch specifically the Phil Foden goal. Go and watch how many times Ortega was able to just pump the ball up to Haaland and just bypass all of like the chance and prospect of Real Madrid pressing us. Look at how deep Real Madrid's defensive line was
Mm.
in those moments. In particular, look at how deep Real Madrid defenders were for that Phil Foden goal. That goal does not get scored without Haaland being on the pitch. Why? Because Rudiger is obsessed with Haaland. And Germany is obsessed with Haaland because he's earned their respect. He's earned their fear. So therefore, they are going to drop off a bit because they are scared of him. And they are going to focus on him because they are scared of him. When Foden is picking up the ball on the edge of the box and driving forwards with it, they're not concerned about what Foden's doing. Or
Mhm.
that's not their first thought anyway. Their first thought is, I've got to deal with this striker, this terrifying 6'5" Norwegian meat shield or whatever, who scores like crazy amounts of goals, who scores like 30 plus goals in a bad season. Therefore, if he's so deep, again, Foden goes, well, I guess I'll take the shot on. And so he does. And that has happened numerous times this season. When he doesn't offer goals and assists, he's still offering stuff. And I agree, he still needs to do a little bit more. But in these big games, when he's essentially marked out of the game by sometimes 2 players at a time, the question becomes, is he benefiting the team? And yes, he is. Because again, that goal is not scored without Haaland being on the pitch. If anyone wants to argue that that goal is scored without Haaland being on the pitch, then I would advise you to watch a different sport. Because there is no world in which Foden is afforded that much space, but for the gravity of what Haaland provided in that moment. So yes, LB, you are quite correct.
Yeah, no, listen, it's I think he needs to do more. Yeah, I think he needs to do more. 100%. He needs to win some more of these battles and hold the ball up a little bit better for the team.
Yeah.
But you know,
it's just people going too far the other way. Like what I've just done there, I think is quite reasonable. I've said he needs to do more, but at the same time, this is what he is offering. So, there are too many people just saying he's crap, he's not doing anything, get rid of him. That is stupid, to be honest. He didn't score a goal last season against Real Madrid at the Etihad, but he was still fantastic in that game. If he doesn't score a goal, try to think, right, well, why is he on the pitch and what is he doing? Usually it's good hold-up play, link-up play, creating space for others, sometimes defensive work, pressing, whatever. There's always something he is doing. This is why he starts. This is why he is very good.
Yeah, but listen, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, we've got Alvarez, who's a mint striker as well. So if Pep thinks that Haaland isn't giving us what we need, then he's more than welcome to drop him. You know what I mean? If that's what he thinks is the correct decision to do.
Well, he won't.
He won't. I fall more into the category of feeling like he gives us space in the midfield to operate.
Exactly.
Because like you say, I think defenders are scared of him.
Yeah.
You know, Rudiger can hold him as much as he wants and stuff, but we still scored 3 goals. You know what I mean? So I just personally, can he do more? Yeah. Is he holding us back? Is he a net negative on the team? I just don't believe that.
If you think that, then you're an idiot, quite frankly. I don't care if that sounds arrogant. You're a moron if you think that he's a net negative. Like, just stop watching football. It's not for you. Go watch basketball or something.
I'll be interested to see how he gets on next week if Kevin De Bruyne plays in the midfield. Because obviously, again, he didn't really get too many chances yesterday. Did he? He says here that he had a shot. Did he have a shot yesterday?
There was that one very early on, I think, where it was I think it was after the first goal. I think Jack Grealish did some nice work in and around the box, and he got the shot off. And like it was from a very tight angle though, so I don't think it was much of a chance. To be fair, it was a really opening 5 minutes, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So it's an interesting topic, and listen, people in the chat very fired up about it, and fair play. Big up to Dr. Footy says, take them back to the Stad the Etihad for a cooking. Yeah, man, 100%. Yeah, I mean, get them on the fryer. Let's have them next week. Next Wednesday. Another player that I want to speak about. I thought he played really well last night, and actually the chat agreed with me most of the time. Jack Grealish, bro. Listen, I'm quite surprised, to be honest with you, that he's come back from his injury and played 3 games and played 90 minutes each time. Yeah, I feel that's quite a full send situation. So I would imagine that he's going to get a rest against Luton. But he was one player yesterday in our forward line that actually just like the whole game just was fine. You know what I mean? Like, if you think about Rodri, he was quite poor yesterday. Think about Bernardo, bit weird, lost the ball quite a lot, bit of a strange performance from him. Foden, despite the goal, the first half was quite quiet. Haaland, obviously, we just spoke about it. We don't need to speak about that again. Jack Grealish actually was just good the whole game. Didn't lose the ball hardly ever. In fact, I'll pull up his stats now so you guys can see how many times he lose possession. I'm going to say 7. Let's have a look. Where is it? 13 times in 90 minutes. That is impressive, man. That is impressive. So, I mean, I just thought he seemed, I don't want to like jinx it, but he seems to be getting back to his best, which is exactly what we need. Now, there was rumours a couple of weeks ago that City are considering letting Jack Grealish leave in the summer, which I personally believe is bullshit because he just built a brand new house in Cheshire. Yeah, he was living in town. He's just built a brand new house in Cheshire. All of a sudden to leave, I believe that's complete BS. But I did say at the time he does need to have a good end of the season because he's been poor this year. Yeah, I know we can speak about injuries and the unlucky situation there. I know we can speak about the whole house situation. But the fact is, when you cut the crap, he has actually been poor this year. So he needed to have a good end to the season. Now he's come back from injury. He's had three games, and all three games he's been very good. And that includes tough games. Villa, yeah, former club, yeah, also a must-win match, otherwise we're out of the league. Palace, bogey team, away from home, tight ground, good game. And then the Bernabeu, good game. Things are looking up for Jack Grealish. Now, I wouldn't play him against Luton personally this weekend, but if he comes in against Real Madrid on Wednesday in the second leg, which surely you will, then I think that Jack Grealish might be back, man.
Yeah, and he's another player who certain fools can't see what he actually offers. He's sensational, is Jack Grealish. I've said many times that if we want to win anything this season, it will be dependent on the availability and fitness of Jack. It's the intangibles which he offers. We just look so much more measured when he's on the ball. It's not a coincidence that we look so much better against Villa, against Palace, when he came on against Arsenal, obviously against Real Madrid, involved in all 4 goals against Palace, was it? Got his assist yesterday, and even if he didn't get his assist, still would have been a fantastic performance. I think it's also important that if you play Gvardiol there at left back, Gvardiol's obviously a little bit more inclined to attack, and go up the pitch compared to, say, an Ake. So it means that there is less. There is more defensive burden on whoever's playing out on the left. So I think that is actually a really lovely combination, Gvardiol and Jack Grealish. It's probably my preferred combination, to be honest. You've got a more attacking defender in Gvardiol. You've got a more conservative, I don't know if that's the right term, but you've got that sort of a player on the left. I think they balance each other perfectly. You throw Foden into that mix of left centre midfield. That is like a perfect little triangle there. And I'm so happy for him that it's falling into place. As you rightly say, he's not been good throughout the season. He has had to deal with a lot of injuries, to be fair to him. But since coming back, it's such a shame for him because he came back from injury. We look so good, gets injured, same game. Comes back from injury. We look so good, gets injured again. We're having a run of games now, and we are looking really good. If he can stay fully fit and playing basically every single game from now to the end of the season, we've got a very, very good chance of winning football matches and therefore winning trophies. I can't praise Grealish. I need to praise him more, but I can't because words escape me how good he is and how important he is to this side. People understate how important he is. Obviously, people talk about Rodri, etc., but Jack Grealish is genuinely the glue. I'm convinced of that this season.
No, I agree. Do you feel that the opinion on Grealish is changing? Because there was, even last year when we won the treble, there was, and this season, obviously, because he's been poor, there's been a lot of City fans, and I understand why to a certain degree, who feel that what we say about him bringing to the team, the space, the width, the control, is kind of just fluff talk. And actually, it's a lot of BS and we're carrying him. I've personally, I don't know if you've noticed this, and chat again, I'd be interested to hear your take on this. Do you see a changing of the narrative where more City fans are now starting to maybe understand that actually he does bring this control to the team and he is needed? And yes, the lack of GNA isn't the greatest, and we would like him to improve on that, but it's not the most important thing. Because I certainly believe that is changing, and that there's fewer and fewer fans that are starting to that are questioning actually whether he does bring this control.
Yeah, I think 100%. I think that it's very easy for a player like Jack Grealish to get lost if you think of like what we were last season. If you think of like City's treble win, to like this like a casual observer, they'd talk about Haaland, De Bruyne, Gundogan, Bernardo, Diaz, Rodri, etc., etc. You'd probably have to go quite down the list before someone would like immediately go, yeah, Jack Grealish as well, because he sort of goes unnoticed, I think, unless you're like watching what he actually does. Because again, if you only watch like highlights, if you only watch Match of the Day, you're probably not going to see how good he is and what he actually contributes. I think that maybe his absence this season is mainly what has allowed a lot of people to realize and appreciate how good he has been. And people have caught on to the fact that, well, it's not just a coincidence that we look so much poorer when he's not in the side, but then we look so much better when he is in the side. And then I think because then you've got the evidence of it, then people go, right, so this is correct. What people were saying is correct, that, you know, what he does offer is needed, that this control aspect, the space creation is essential. And then that's further evidenced when he comes on against Arsenal and we look better. He starts against Villa Palace, we score 4 goals, we just look so good going forwards. He plays at the Bernabeu, arguably best player on the pitch. So maybe him being absent is probably the best thing, that him being absent this season is probably the best thing for his PR, if that makes sense, because people have now caught on and realized how important he is. And it still amazes me that, you know, we're in April 2024 and there are still some people who say that Grealish is a passenger. Grealish, you know, if he wasn't in our treble winning team, any other player you could swap him out for and they win anyway. I'm really happy that the narrative is now changing, and rightly so, and I'm happy for him.
You know what, though? I think you're right. I think him being out the team might actually be the best thing, because I can't lie, man. There's been times when I question whether or not I believe the words that are coming out my mouth, because I'm convincing myself that no. The lack of G&A is not the best. But the control. And then sometimes I'm like, am I just waffling here? Like, am I just doing this because I want him to do well and I want him to succeed? But actually, when you think about it, yeah, when he's been out of the team, you've seen the lack of control. You've seen the chaos. You know what I mean? And the inability to have our midfielders to get space. You know what I mean? Because if Doku's playing, he's going to drive in field. That takes space away from the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Foden. So I personally do believe that he's a benefit to the team. Now, again, like everyone, like we spoke about Haaland, there's negatives. Yeah,
100%.
His slowness in shooting is crazy.
Yeah,
it's maddening. He literally wants to get a ruler out and get his compass out to, you know, get his test the wind. He literally wants to test every single shooting metric before he pulls the trigger. Hence, every single shot gets blocked. Please start shooting a little bit quicker. That's my number one request. But you know, other than that, you know, he's great, and he works so hard defensively as well, which I don't think wingers get true. It's funny actually, right? You know, when wingers don't work hard defensively, they get slated by fans.
Yeah,
fucking lazy. Yeah. But when they do work hard, it's just sort of like
defensive winger.
It's a kind of a madness. So yeah, listen, Grealish for me, he's playing well. He's had 3 good games. Let's not fucking go off the rails here. But he's played 3 good games. He needs to continue. He needs to have a good end to the season, because he's not been good this season. But things are looking good. I wouldn't play him against Luton. We will speak a little bit about Luton as we come to the end of the show. Let me come to some more of these super chats, man. Please make sure you smash the like on the stream, guys. Appreciate all the support as always. Free way to support the channel. Make sure you subscribe to It's LB, More LB. Player ratings are on More LB, the second channel. People was asking. It's on the second channel. And of course, make sure you subscribe to Nobbins, link in the title. He's just done a little post-mortem as well, if you want even more content after this. Off Meta says, Grealish takes so much pressure off our midfield. I agree. And of course, when you play him, if we're right, by the way, I'm not saying I am right on the Haaland situation, but if I'm right that Haaland makes the opposition defense drop a little bit and therefore gives space to the likes of Foden and Kevin De Bruyne, if let's just say, because I know some people don't agree with that notion, but let's just say, for example, let's just say for a minute, I'm right on that. Yeah, if I'm right on that, and we're also right that Grealish gives us space. Then if you're right on both of those situations, the midfield are going to get loads of space. Is it any surprise that Foden managed to get a shot off yesterday outside the box and scored? Is it any surprise that Gvardiol managed to get a shot off from outside the box and score yesterday? Now, it could just be a coincidence.
It's not.
But if we are right, yeah, that Haaland gives space to the midfielders and Grealish gives us space to the midfielders, those two combined are going to give Foden and Kevin De Bruyne loads of space in the midfield.
Exactly.
If we're right. If we're wrong, then it's BS.
You're not wrong. You are right. You're not right. Back yourself, LB. Back yourself.
I'm right, man. Fucking right, mate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get in my corner, chat. Mohammed says City are killing Rodri. He needs a rest. Oh, mate, it's if we don't sign cover for Rodri this summer, it is embarrassing.
Mm.
Because
we
I
will.
actually think we are actually fucking killing this guy.
Yeah,
Actually
we are.
killing this guy.
Yeah, it's like we're doing to Rodri what Liverpool did to Fabinho.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. If that has to be, well, it won't be our first signing because Paqueta will probably be our first signing. But it has to be like we've got to get that done ASAP. And in my opinion, it should be Kimmich.
Fairs.
But that's a conversation for another day. But we have to get someone in. And you know what? I follow this guy called AP Pieces or something like that.
That's my boy.
Oh, you know him?
That's my boy.
Just your boy. Okay.
Yeah. I know him. Yeah.
But he said this is some people in the chat are gonna hate this, right? But I actually agree with it. I actually agree with this tweet. Listen, read this. Rodri's recent, because if we accept Rodri wasn't great yesterday, which he wasn't, and we accept that he wasn't great against Palace, which he wasn't, this actually is very interesting. He says Rodri's recent sloppiness in possession, misplaced passes, and dwelling and indecision on the ball is the ideal case study for physical deterioration equals mental lapses and incorrect technical actions. Being so fatigued affects your cognitive capacity, which impedes technical actions. So here's the thing. It's not even necessarily that he's physically tired. Because
mentally drained.
He's mentally fucked. Have a look how many games this guy has played this year. Yeah, this season. It is ridiculous. Then go and have a look how many games he played last season. He is maybe not even physically screwed. Yeah, because he doesn't really look physically tired. He's actually looks kind of mentally drained. He's played 41 matches this season for Manchester City alone. If you add in friendlies or Spain matches, he played 90 minutes against Brazil. Yeah. What other games has he played? He's played other matches. I'm gonna get this for you guys. He's played. Where I go? Filter 2023, July 1st, right? He's played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches in European qualifiers. Yeah. He played that Brazil game. So he's played 41 plus 6. He's played 47 matches this season. And we've still got 2 months to go. And then we've got the bloody Euros.
Oh,
you're laughing, but it's actually not really funny. Like, we actually do need to sort this out. Like, it's actually become past a joke, man.
Oh, from like a player welfare perspective, yeah, 100%. But
yeah,
they don't care about that. We know they don't care about that.
They've got to sign someone, in the summer. They've got to. It's ridiculous. 47 matches. There's still how many? We've got 7 games in the Premier League. He's probably going to start 6 of them. Yeah, probably not going to start Luton at the weekend. He's probably going to start 6 of them. That's up to what? 53. We've got Real Madrid, 54. Chelsea, 55. Let's hope that we get to the final, 56. Let's hope that we get to the semi-final, 57, 58. Let's hope that we get to the final, 59. He's on for 59 fucking games, and then he's going to play in the Euros.
Yeah. We that will definitely be addressed. Phillips failed. Gundogan's still not been replaced. The player we will get, I know that you mentioned a Pieces, for example. I know he loves João Neves. I personally want Bruno. We will definitely be signing a player of that ilk. Definitely, this 8-6 player who can play enough minutes where it's not like a Calvin Phillips situation where he can be versatile enough to play in other areas of the pitch, but at the same time he can properly give Rodri like an actual rest, like Gundogan used to do. Like Gundogan would often just play as an out-and-out defensive midfielder at times, and like we could do that without having Rodri even in the squad. So yeah, not Bruno Fernandes, guys. Bruno Guimaraes.
No, I agree. Some people in the chat disagree. Fair dues, football's about opinions. My personal opinion is I think it was got to be a player that plays in another position, not just CDM, because they're just not going to play. They're just not going to play enough games to be match sharp.
Yeah.
And that was part of the problem. There's a small problem, but part of the problem with Calvin Phillips.
Yes,
In that,
totally.
he's on the bench for 2 months and he comes in
Yeah.
and he's just miles off the pace. So yeah, that's certainly something that we have to look at. Let's turn our attention as the final part of the show. Let's turn our attention to into Luton. Oh, big up to Everest as well. He says just knock out white cheaters, Pep, but Norway Lukaku, says Everest. He doesn't agree with our Haaland take, bro.
White, so he's racist. What? White's
No.
cheaters. What?
Real Madrid.
Oh, I was so confused. I thought it was like being racist to Hall, and I was like, what's going on?
No. He's calling Real Madrid white cheaters because they're playing white in it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, fine. Everest is a bit of an odd chap, though. So yeah.
Oh, you know him?
No, he's just in your chat, and he's a bit of a weirdo, to be honest. Thank you for giving LB money, though.
Well, there you go, Everest. If you want to come on the show and debate with Nobbins, then feel free to DM me. I'll send you the link. Let's make it.
That fraud.
You don't want to talk. I tell you.
Hello.
Let's speak on Luton. How many changes do we make for the Luton game, bro? Because I'm looking at this Luton game going, we kind of need to rest a few players, but I don't want to go too weird. You know what I mean? Like, because Luton I've seen Luton a lot this year. They are a decent team on the day. Do you know what I mean? And we need to make sure that we don't take this too low. You know what I mean? I've seen people making all sorts of mad changes. Kevin De Bruyne starts for me 100%. Yeah, get him in. I would rest Jack Grealish. I'd play Oscar Bob potentially and play Doku. I think that's fine. I think Bob and Doku is fine. It sounds crazy, but I don't think it is. What do we do with Rodri, and how do we? Because we don't really have a natural 6 replacement. How would you what changes would you make, and how would you sort that midfield out with no Rodri? I assume that you're not playing Rodri. Are you playing Rodri?
No. We've got to. I think have him on the bench probably, but like we've got, as you said, we've got to try to give him a rest because he's not going to get another rest. We're obviously not going to rest him in the Champions League. We're not going to realistically rest him in an FA Cup semi-final. We can't afford to rest him in any other Premier League game. Luton at home, no disrespect to Luton, is the easiest fixture we have from now until the end of the season. So if we are ever going to give him a rest, it's got to be that one. In order to still have a secure midfield, I think it's got to be probably Kovacic, Nunes, maybe. Stones to advance into his, John Stones role or whatever, or Rico Lewis or whoever's doing that. So it means that out of possession, your midfield 2 is Nunes and Kova. That's probably the best because we need to replace Rodri's like physicality as well as like his defensive security. So I'd personally go for Kova, Nunes. I know it's not ideal, but it's in order to afford him a rest. I can't really think of another combination, to be honest.
Well, I might be good at the tactical part and see if we can try to build something here. The thing is, right, I know it's not ideal, but if you play, are you playing Kevin De Bruyne?
Oh,
because I'm playing Kevin De Bruyne. He didn't play yesterday. Why not?
Yeah, get his game back to full sharpness for the game against Real Madrid. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, we'll do that.
So I feel that like I'm not sitting here going, oh yeah, I like that Kova Nunes thing because I don't think it's attacking enough. But if you throw Kevin De Bruyne in there, it does kind of sway it a little bit more to the attacking situation. So if we've got sort of Kovacic and Nunes, right, and obviously Nunes can get forward, and you know what I mean, and Foden, not Foden.
What I would say on Luton as well, I obviously don't know how they're going to play, but if they play anything like how they did at their ground, like on both occasions, Luton aren't a team who will just like camp behind the ball and get everyone behind. They both times we played them, they have given us space, so I don't mind us playing Matheus Nunes, to be honest, because he could potentially exploit that space.
It's a weird one, with Luton, because there's 6 games left, right? Is this Everton got the 2 points knocked off, by the way?
I think so. I think it is. Yeah, I think so.
I think it is. I think that's been applied. They should really put something at the bottom, shouldn't they, and say like an asterisk so you can see. But that's it. So that's the table as it stands, right? See, there's a couple of things that they could do. I mean, a win, obviously, they kind of need wins. Wins are money. But at the same time, They don't want to get smacked up, bro, because look at that goal difference between them and
Mm,
Forest. It's very, very close. So, whilst, yeah, maybe they've not sat back and defended super deep and parked the bus, don't be surprised if they do, because they might come to a City on Saturday and go, we don't think we're going to win. We think we're probably going to lose, and therefore the best thing possible is to just not get smacked, because that goal difference at the moment, they're not out of it. They're not out of it. The goal difference between Forest, that can be done in one game. You win 2-0, Forest get beat 2-0, and the goal difference is level again. But if they come to City and get smacked for 5 by playing an open game, then that's it. That's chalked. So it's going to be, what are their fixtures? I guess you have to put your mindset in the mindset of what are Luton thinking here. Yeah, say they have winnable games, Brentford's a winnable
mm.
game. Wolves away's tricky, but winnable. Everton's winnable. That's a big game, fucking hell. Even West Ham, Fulham, these are all winnable games. So I actually wouldn't be surprised, if they come to City and just defended for their lives.
Yeah, it could go one of two ways, couldn't it? There is just a potential that they won't do an absolute disgusting low block. That's all. I think starting Nunes makes sense. I think that's fine.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Okay, can I ask you about the goalkeeper? Well, and also, we've not really spoke about it, but what did you make of Ortega yesterday? Because I've got to say, personally, I've not seen the goals back yet. I've not watched the game back, but I don't know if you've seen the Rodrigo goal. There was a few people in the chat and a few people on Twitter yesterday that said he done something. I don't know. He jumped to the right or something when he shouldn't have done that. And I'm not sure. Have you seen it back?
I have. I think that's a bit harsh, to be fair. It does
I
take a
thought it
big.
was harsh.
It takes a big deflection, and we shouldn't even be in that situation anyway. Because the line shouldn't be that high. So I don't know if I'm going to really blame Ortega for that, to be fair.
Yeah, no, my. I personally would throw Edison back in for tomorrow for the Luton game, and I would probably stick with Edison for the Real Madrid at home game as well.
Yes, I agree.
Something that I didn't really, obviously, if Edison wasn't fully fit, which I think he probably was, because that's 2 games he's been on the bench now. But something that really sort of confused me a little bit is, if the plan was to go long to Haaland a lot, which we did, why didn't he pick Edison? Because he's better at distribution, but. Maybe it wasn't a tactic. Maybe Ortega just found himself having to go long. But
Yeah,
I would
maybe
bring yeah, potentially. I would bring Edison back in. You agree with that for Saturday? Okay. At the back, it's kind of tricky. If we say that Ake's still not available, will Stones be risked? Apparently, he felt some tightness in his leg last night. Will he be risked? I don't know. You might have to risk him. I think Diaz will probably play. Because the fact that we both agree that maybe he shouldn't be in the team for the Real Madrid game. He's one booking away from being suspended, and pace wise, I personally would play Diaz. You agree?
Yes, I agree. Yeah, definitely.
Rico Lewis, you start Rico.
If we're not starting Stones, then then we need to start Rico. Yeah,
I agree. Akanji centre half.
Yeah.
And no option. Obviously, Ake's still not available. Gavardio left back.
It's got to be. Yeah, got to be.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm more than happy with that.
That's decent. Yeah, Lewis inverts into midfield alongside Kovacic. Nunes pushes up alongside De Bruyne. It's good.
Yeah, 100%. Forward line. Here's a question for you. Does Erling Haaland get a rest against Luton? Do you stick him in to maybe get some confidence in terms of goals? Do you start Alvarez? Maybe deserves a start.
I think get Alvarez to start at least for sure. Yeah, I think that a little bit of rest as well. I think that makes the most sense. I do need to go in a couple of minutes, by the way, matey, if that's okay.
Yeah, no worries. Let's just finish this and then I'll wrap it up if that's okay. Front three. I'd play Doku and Bob, bro.
I was gonna say I like the Bob shout definitely. He deserves a start. I like Doku on the right. And look, we've always got a bench to use. We've got Rodri on the bench. We've got Foden on the bench, etc., if needed. But that team is still good, and it's definitely good enough to beat Luton. There's a good combination there. You've got some more chaotic players like Doku. You've got some more pocket players like Bob. I like that.
Yeah, and as good as Luton are, let's be honest, this team should be beating Luton Town. So
definitely.
That's where we're at. Big up to Mohammed says also Bellingham is a crybaby diving cheat. Yeah, a lot of people didn't like Bellingham yesterday. He was moaning a lot, wasn't he? And by the way, what the fuck did we do to the deflection gods? Mate, the amount of deflected goals we conceded this year is actually fucking wild.
I know.
Mate.
That first one was so unfortunate, man. I can't blame anyone for that Camavinga goal, like, or the Diaz own goal, I guess. Just like, what do you do?
Yeah, it's fucking mad. It's pissing me off. Right, there we go. Big up Nobbins for coming on. As always, guys, you can find his channel in the title there. Make sure you go subscribe. LB putting KDB in for his assist bet. I know, bro. I need some assists. Honestly, man, this weekend could be big for that because if he gets on, if he starts and gets a couple, we're on. I think he's 4 behind now, so it's certainly on. It's certainly on. He's Foden injured. He's got a dead leg. We'll see if he's available. But yeah, what you got coming up on the channel, bro? I know you just done your post-mortem, so people can watch that if you want even more review. But you got anything else coming up in the next days?
That I want to do an analysis video on why Grealish is better than you think. So if you're a Jack Grealish defender, then you want to go check that out whenever I get that uploaded. Hopefully later this week.
If you're a hater, you might want to watch.
Yeah, if you want to be converted to the light side and the dark side, then you need to watch this video for sure.
Yeah, factual information. Right, buzzing. Hopefully, I've got a panel show coming up later on. A couple of people asking about phone-in show. I'm definitely going to do a phone-in show the next day, so stay tuned for that one. Hopefully, you guys did enjoy the show. As always, please make sure you drop a like. If you're watching back on replay, get us your comments in down below. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Are we still live?
We're still live.